Let's start with a company you have maybe never heard of. BYD. It is a car company from China. Some people call it the biggest car brand you have never heard of. But this is now changing. Recently, BYD sold more electric cars than Tesla. This makes BYD the world's top seller of electric vehicles, or EVs. How did a company that was not famous become number one? It was not luck. This success is the result of a long-term plan. The company itself had a very smart strategy. Also, the Chinese government gave the company a lot of support. The story of BYD shows how a business can grow very fast with government help. It also shows how China is becoming a leader in the transportation of the future. We will look at three key reasons for BYD's success. These are the main things that helped the company grow so much. The first reason is government support. The Chinese government wanted to have a strong EV industry. So, it gave a lot of money to companies like BYD. These payments are called subsidies. This financial help was very important. It allowed BYD to invest in new technology and sell its cars for less money. The second reason is the low price of BYD cars. Most BYD models are much cheaper than a Tesla. The company sells many different cars, and some are very affordable. This is a different strategy from Tesla, which started with expensive cars. Because BYD cars are cheaper, many more people can buy them. The third and very important reason is how BYD makes its cars. The company makes most of the car parts itself. For example, it makes about 75% of the parts for its main car. Most car makers buy parts from other companies. Most importantly, BYD makes its own batteries. This started in 1995. This strategy helps to lower the cost and gives BYD a big advantage. 2. A battery company's new plan. The story of the car company BYD begins in a surprising place. It did not start with cars. The company began in 1995, and it was a battery manufacturer. The founder, a chemist named Wang Chuanfu, started the business to make rechargeable batteries. These batteries were for everyday electronics, like mobile phones and digital cameras. It was a successful company, but it was just one of many battery makers in a crowded market. Nobody at the time knew this small company would one day challenge the world's biggest car brands. Back then, China was not a leader in the car industry. In the 1980s and early 1990s, China's auto industry was weak. There were only a few old factories owned by the state. These factories produced cars that were out of date and had a reputation for low quality. It was a very difficult environment for any car business to grow. It was not a place where you would expect a future global car giant to be born. The government also made it hard for new companies to start making cars. Everything changed in 2003. Wang Chuanfu decided to do something completely new and unexpected. He wanted to take his successful battery company and start making cars. This was a huge risk. The people who invested money in his company, the shareholders, were not happy. They were very worried about this plan because making cars is very expensive and difficult. They thought it was a bad idea to enter such a different industry. But Wang had a long-term vision. Wang needed a way into the car industry, and he found a clever one. His solution was to buy another company. He found a small, state-owned car factory that was struggling to survive. The factory was called China'S Automobile. BYD bought a large part of it. This was an extremely smart move. The old factory itself was not the main prize. The most important thing it had was a license from the government to produce cars. For a new company, getting this license was the biggest challenge. By buying China'S, BYD got the license it needed to legally start building its own vehicles. Wang Chuanfu had a big dream. He was not interested in just competing with regular gasoline cars. His main goal was to use BYD's expertise in batteries to create electric vehicles. He saw that the future of cars was electric, and he wanted his company to lead the way. He believed that by focusing on electric technology, BYD could bypass the traditional car market and become a global leader faster. Buying the old factory was the first clever step in his long plan to build your dreams. 3. Learning from other cars. After buying the factory, BYD needed to make a good car. But their first try was not good. The company made a prototype car with the codename 316. It was very ugly. Car dealers saw it and did not want to sell it. The company's founder, Wang Chuanfu, was so unhappy with the car that he destroyed the prototype himself. This was not a good start, but it showed that Wang wanted to make good products. BYD needed a new plan. The company decided to try a different strategy. This strategy is sometimes called reverse engineering. It means they studied successful cars from other companies and learned how to make something similar. They looked mostly at popular Japanese cars. Soon, BYD made a new car called the F3. The BYD F3 looked almost the same as a Toyota Corolla, but it was much cheaper. In fact, it was about half the price. This new plan worked very well. People wanted to buy a car that looked good but did not cost a lot of money. The BYD F3 became a huge success. In its first year, the company sold more than 63,000 F3 cars. Just 20 months after it started, the 100,000th F3 car was made. BYD did not stop there. They also made the F0, which looked like the Toyota Aygo, and the F6, which was similar to the Honda Accord. Of course, not everyone was happy with BYD's strategy. Some people, and even U.S. officials, said that BYD was copying other companies' designs. They said it was not fair. But Wang Chuanfu defended his company. He said that BYD only used ideas and technologies that were not protected by special laws called patents. For BYD, It was a smart way to learn quickly and enter the difficult car market. 4. Early electric dreams. BYD was selling many gasoline cars, but the company's main goal was different. Founder Wang Chuanfu always wanted to use his company's battery knowledge to build electric vehicles. This was his big dream. In 2008, BYD introduced a very important car, the F3DM. It was the world's first mass-produced plug-in hybrid. A plug-in hybrid is a car that can use both electricity and gasoline. It was a new and exciting idea. At first, the car was only sold to companies. In 2010, regular people could buy it, especially when the Chinese government started to give money or subsidies to help. However, the F3DM did not become popular. It sold only a few hundred units, so it was not a big commercial success. 1 year later, in 2009, BYD launched its first all-electric car, the E6. This car used only battery power and had an impressive range of about 400 kilometers. BYD planned to sell the E6 in the United States, but these plans did not work out. Like the F3DM, the E6 did not sell well to the public. Instead, it was mostly sold to fleets, such as taxi companies. Even though these first electric models had limited success, BYD was expanding very quickly. The company was opening new factories and hundreds of new dealerships across China. But this fast growth led to serious problems. BYD focused too much on making a large number of cars and not enough on making high-quality cars. There were too many dealerships and not enough good models for them to sell. By 2010, many of these dealers were unhappy and had to close their stores. The company failed to meet its sales targets. This period was a time of serious growing pains. BYD was trying to do too much too soon, and it was learning difficult lessons about the car business. 5. A hard time for BYD. After its early problems, BYD knew it had to change. The company stopped trying to grow too fast. Instead, it started to focus on quality. BYD wanted to make better cars and build a stronger brand. They also worked to have better relationships with their car dealers. Soon, big car companies started to notice BYD. In 2010, BYD made a new plan with Daimler, a famous German car maker. Together, they started a new brand called Denza. The goal of this partnership was to build new electric cars just for China. This was a big and serious step for BYD. It showed they were becoming an important player in the car industry. In 2013, BYD launched its new Dynasty series of cars. The first car was the BYD Chin. It was a plug-in hybrid, and it quickly became a best-selling car in China. This success showed that BYD could make cars that people really wanted to buy. The company's dreams were starting to become real. However, there was a big problem. BYD's success depended a lot on money from the Chinese government. These payments were called subsidies. The government gave subsidies to companies to help them build more electric cars. In 2016, BYD received $1 billion in subsidies. This was more money than the company's profit for that year. BYD needed this help. Then, in 2017, the government changed its plan. It started to give less money to electric car companies. This was very bad news for BYD. Without the extra money, everything became difficult. BYD's sales went down, and the company lost money. By 2019, the company's leader, Wang Chuanfu, said their goal was not to rule the world. Their new goal was just to survive. 6. The amazing comeback. After the difficult years, BYD needed a new plan to survive. Sales were slow, and the company had less help from the government. But BYD did not give up. Starting in 2020, things began to change in a big way. This was the start of an amazing comeback. The company went from just trying to stay in business to becoming a leader in the electric vehicle market. The growth was incredible. From 2020 to 2023, BYD's sales increased 7 times. In 2020, the company sold about 427,000 cars. Just 3 years later, in 2023, they sold 3 million. This happened because more and more people in China wanted to buy electric and hybrid cars, which are called new energy vehicles. BYD was ready for this change. Then, BYD made a very brave decision. They announced that they would stop making cars that only used gasoline. It was a big risk because no other major car company had done this. This choice showed everyone that BYD was serious about an electric future. They put all their effort into making the best new energy vehicles. This was a clear message to the whole car industry. To prove that electric cars could be for everyone, BYD launched a new model in 2023. It was called the Seagull. The Seagull was BYD's smallest and cheapest electric car, with a price under $12,000. It quickly became very popular. People loved that they could buy a good electric car for a low price. In only 7 months, BYD sold 200,000 Seagull cars in China. By the end of 2023, BYD had left its competitors behind. It was now the world's top seller of new energy vehicles, selling more than even Tesla. A few years before, the company was in trouble. Now it was a global leader. The amazing comeback was complete. 7. The secret of a low price. How can BYD sell its cars for such a low price? The answer is its special manufacturing secret. This strategy is called vertical integration. It is a simple but powerful idea. BYD makes most of its own car parts instead of buying them. Usually, car makers buy many components from different suppliers. They buy engines from one company, seats from another, and computer chips from a third. This system can be slow and expensive. BYD decided to do things differently. For its popular car, the Seal, BYD makes about 75% of the parts inside its own factories. For comparison, a company like Volkswagen only makes about 35% of the parts for its electric cars. This gives BYD more control and helps them save a lot of money. The most important part that BYD makes is the battery. Batteries are the heart of an electric vehicle, and they are also the most expensive component. BYD has a huge advantage here. The company did not start with cars. It began in 1995 as a battery maker for mobile phones and other electronics. Because of this history, they are experts. The company's founder, Wang Chuanfu, is a chemist. He understands battery technology very well. BYD makes a special kind of battery called a lithium iron phosphate battery. This type is cheaper to produce and is also very safe. By making these batteries in-house, BYD can keep costs low. This is the main reason their cars are cheaper than many others. This strategy was also very important during recent global supply problems. Many car companies had to stop production because they could not get parts from their suppliers. The world was in chaos. But BYD was in control of its own destiny. Because it made its own batteries and other parts, it could continue to build cars when its rivals could not. This clever business plan attracted famous investors. Warren Buffett, a well-known American investor, saw the potential in BYD's strategy. He invested a lot of money in the company early on. He understood that controlling its own production was BYD's secret weapon. It was the key that unlocked low prices and high growth. 8. BYD and the world. BYD is now growing outside of China and becoming a true global company. It has started to sell its passenger cars in many parts of the world. You can now see them on the roads in Europe, Australia, the Middle East, and South America. In some of these new countries, like Thailand and Brazil, BYD has quickly become a top-selling brand for electric vehicles. To support this big global plan, the company even has its own giant ships. These ships carry thousands of new BYD cars across the ocean to customers waiting in other countries. However, selling cars all over the world is not a simple job. BYD faces some big challenges. One problem is brand awareness. In many Western countries, people have never heard of the BYD name. It takes time and a lot of work to build trust and show customers that your cars are high quality. Another challenge comes from governments. The European Union, for example, is checking if Chinese car companies get unfair financial help. Also, because of difficult trade relations between America and China, BYD is not selling its cars to American drivers right now. To solve some of these problems, BYD is planning to build factories in other regions. It is already looking for good places in Europe to produce cars locally. Making cars inside Europe can help the company to be seen as a local player and avoid some trade issues. At the same time, the global market for electric cars is getting bigger and bigger. The cost of making EVs is falling. Experts say that batteries, which are a large part of a car's price, will become much cheaper. This will make electric cars more affordable for ordinary people. New markets are also opening up. For example, India's EV market is growing at an amazing speed. This global change is not just about one company. It is about a new future for driving, and BYD is helping to lead the way. What do you think will be the biggest challenge for BYD as it grows?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.